accusing state officials of failing to enforce federal immigration law. She was flanked by federal agents who were wearing raid jackets as she made this announcement.
We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next.
I should note the lawsuit had not yet been filed as of that press conference. My source tonight is CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig. And Ellie, based on what we know so far, I still don't think it has been filed yet. And because of that, in a statement, Governor Hochul responded to this and said, quote, "We can't comment further on a press conference announcing a potential lawsuit that has not been filed yet in any court." Ellie, do you think, is that normal? Is that typical to not have it filed before you announce a lawsuit like this?
No, Caitlin, it can only be the result of incompetence. It is 101 when you're announcing a case as a prosecutor. You don't get out there, announce it, and then file it later. Sometimes you have to file it 5 minutes after your presser ends or 10 minutes after your presser ends. But to have it go hours without filing anything is completely inexplicable. Look, if they needed more time to investigate this thing, God bless, take the time you need. But don't hold the presser when you haven't even put anything on the books yet.
Well, it was a bit confusing when the Attorney General came out and said she had filed charges against these officials. I think people were trying to figure out what exactly was going on and what we should expect to be filed.
What a bizarre way to open this press conference, and you just played the clip. In the first 10 seconds of this press conference, the Attorney General of the United States said 3 times she had, quote, filed charges against New York, against Kathy Hochul, against Letitia James. Now, 99 out of 100 civilians understands that to mean criminal charges. 100 out of 100 prosecutors understands that to mean criminal charges. When she said that, my phone went crazy. People saying, wait, has Pam Bondi indicted Letitia James? Now, it turns out the answer is no. This is a civil lawsuit. But to use that terminology is either an inexplicable screw-up by the new Attorney General, although she's been a prosecutor 20 years, or was an intentional choice of overheated, misleading rhetoric.
So as far as what she is saying that they are going to do here with these lawsuits that they're filing, what do you make of the basis based on what you heard from her? Obviously, we'll have to wait to see till it's filed. But how strong do you think the argument is?
And we can also look to the Illinois lawsuit that was filed last week. I actually think DOJ has a strong grounds here legally for what they're asking the court to do, or what it appears they're asking the court to do. Essentially, they're saying New York State has a bunch of laws that inhibit us, that get in the way of us enforcing federal immigration law. There's a New York State law essentially that says that if immigration authorities ask for the DMV information, for the address or motor vehicle information, A, it should not be provided to the federal authorities, and B, the state authorities should inform, notify, tip off the person who's being asked about. There is a bedrock principle of law, basically, called the Supremacy Clause. It says if the feds and the states have conflicting priorities, conflicting policies, the feds should win out. And I do think it's hard to say what's going to happen in the early stages of this case, Caitlin, but ultimately, I think Pam Bondi, despite all the atmospheric missteps, I think she has a pretty strong case here on the legal merits that the state does not have the power to interfere with or undermine enforcement efforts at the federal level.
Yeah, we can see why the governor of New York canceled her lunch that she was to have here in Washington with President Trump tomorrow. Ellie Honig, keep us updated. We'll look to see when this is filed. Thank you so much for that, Ellie. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. CNN News Night with Abby Phillip is up next.